I see you found our little hiding spot in the universe. Don't get too comfortable. This is a place where you will find those with an experience that's out of this world, or possibly deep within your life. I welcome you to the Oracles with James Tyson. Lean forward and listen. We will pull you into a supernatural journey with guests from around the world, each one experiencing some of the most extraordinary phenomena this wee planet has to offer. I wish to invite you to support the program through the Oracles with JamesTyson.com Patreon link. For as little as $3 per month, you qualify for a free monthly psychic reading, a past life regression, and exclusive access to our filmed interviews. Don't lower your guard. That's just the beginning as we give back. When I have reached 2,222 members, we will be giving away monthly trips to supernatural hotspots and conferences across North America. Don't run. I can see you. With a limit of 4,500 Patreon supporters, you will want to get your passports ready, as every third month, we will include paranormal conferences and tours in Europe and Australia. I know you can hear me. Visit theoracleswithjamestyson.com and click on the Patreon link. Where are you listening? That's the Patreon button at theoracleswithjamestyson.com. Now, here are the Oracles with James Tyson.
Thank you, Liam, and thank you, listener, for tuning into this episode of The Oracles with James Tyson. It's I, James Tyson, and in this episode, I've brought in a friend of mine, Seth Michael, who is a psychic medium who does paranormal investigations in southern Washington state and into northern Oregon and bounces around. He also does them remotely. And what's interesting about Seth and the conversation we're going to have with him is that he is one of those people that crosses over ghosts. It's not a paranormal team that goes around and they poke at the ghosts, and it just drives me crazy that you get paranormal teams going into locations and getting all sorts of evidence that spirits exist in the building and either don't tell the client or want to come back 3 or 4 times with maybe some other people, so the other people kind of experiences, and just kind of wasting the client's time and not really helping the spirit at all. But that's not Seth's team, and his buddies had White Light Paranormal in southern Washington. They also put on tours down in Oregon, and they're all free. And actually, when they cross ghosts out of your house, it's free too. And it's fascinating. I met him at the Oregon Ghost Conference in March, last weekend of March this year, and great guy. And I got to watch a film, and the film is called All Around Us. And it is kind of a little history of who Seth was growing up as a psychic and a medium, not really understanding it, but seeing spirits, and what he's done since then, and in his life and his kind of life's quest now to help those that are trapped and to understand that they can move on to a better life. So in this episode, I think we're going to be talking about everything from ghost hunting, going out into somebody's property and checking them out with whatever equipment we may have. And we're just going to sit down and we're going to share some stories about our experiences doing paranormal investigations and crossing spirits over. And it's going to be very cool. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you're interested in paranormal investigation, you're interested in ghosts, and you're curious what a psychic medium can do for a investigation, just keep listening. Now, Seth Michael, who is just a super guy, Seth is a natural-born psychic medium and an empath, and he's been doing this for about 28 years. And 28 years, he's been giving his formal readings. So he's been actually getting paid for that, getting readings. In addition to his work doing private and larger group readings, he co-founded a paranormal team called White Light Paranormal Insight. And that's where he is a medium and the director of spiritual, well, let's say, he calls it spiritual resolves. In other words, they cross them over. Seth also co-hosted a web radio show called Into the Light with Seth Michael and Teresa Cleve on Blog Talk Radio, and is an instructor of various workshops and at the Vision Collective studio in Portland. And if you're down in Portland, Portland, Oregon, you got to check these places out and look up Seth. He does this along with online classes. He also is a primary focus of the film, as I say, All Around Us. It's a documentary, and it's really good. It was a really good film, and really enjoyed it. Seth's passion and intent is to assist others in reaching their higher self and honing in on their own individual strengths. So he does teach various classes in, basically having an empath understand what an empath is, what a higher vibration person is, and getting people who are sensitive to really focus on the abilities that they have. I think everybody has some type of ability. We've kind of covered a lot of these up, and some of them are starting to brew. Mine, I guess, really came up a lot later in life. Other people's, right from birth, like Seth himself, has been doing this ever since he was a little kid, and had a mother that was kind of cool enough to tell him the truth about it and walk him through it, and so he realizes it wasn't scary. So it wasn't pushed down, it wasn't recessed. But that's the kind of guy you want. You want to have somebody open and ready to go. And when this really came to him and he understood he was different than the other kids, it was in his 20s. So he had it all his life. It just kind of popped into his head that not everybody can do this. So please welcome Seth Michael. Seth, how are you today? Seth Michael. Seth, how are you today?
Doing great. Really happy and excited to be on your show. Thank you for asking.
Oh, thanks very much, Seth. We met down at the Oregon Ghost Conference in Seaside, Oregon, and I tell you, I went out to Seth's movie, All Around Us, and it was absolutely fantastic. They really give me a good idea of your life and what had happened, and I'm really looking forward to that coming out a little bit later, and actually putting a link from my website to your website so people can click on it and watch it, because it's really a fascinating experience you've had in your life.
Excellent. Thank you for mentioning that. It was quite a journey.
As a psychic and a medium, when did this first kind of kick into your life?
I didn't realize it till my 20s, but it had happened all of my life, I'm pretty sure. Just on basic things that they called it imaginary friends back at the time. And it was just normal for me. I would be sitting down for about 3 hours just playing on my own, but I wasn't on my own. And my mom always was fascinated by that I could just, as a little kid, be so immersed in one thing for so long. She had really, really cheap childcare.
Yeah. Did your mom?
So I was just talking to them, talking to spirits.
Did anyone else in your family have this experience too when they were kids?
Not like this. No, it was a little different. They all have their, some are very intuitive. But none of them work in this field that I'm in or anything like that. They're just, doing their daily lives.
It's probably coming from both sides of the family, and you ended up getting full-blown, all your, what are they called? All your senses kick in, all your clairs, all of a sudden.
Yeah, I call it all throttles.
You got all throttles.
Yeah.
Like you say, it didn't occur to you until your 20s. What was the turning point there?
I met somebody who told me, you're a natural medium, right? And then she explained what that is because I had no clue. And then we went, and then she said, your imaginary friends, right? They weren't imaginary. And it all made sense like that. And then I learned more about and like you have, and connecting with other people and spirits, and they're through the emotions.
Okay.
So that was the hardest, most challenging thing, is the empath.
I didn't. Mine all kind of pointed at 2012 when somebody told me what an empath was, and I had no idea what that was. And then she said, "Oh, those things you thought were ghosts when you were a kid? Yeah, they were." Well, okay, that makes more sense now. But I don't see them as much as you. I've seen, shadows in my bedroom and one full-on ghost right after a car accident I was in. That's it. Other than I'll hear them coming up to me, like in the old Wheeler Hotel, crawled into bed and a little girl said, "Daddy?" Which kind of freaked me out.
Wow.
Yeah. What is yours like?
Well, I haven't seen any apparitions or anything like that, except maybe once, but it's all in my mind's eye. And then later with confirmations that what I'm seeing is most likely accurate most of the time. It makes sense to, with all the other evidentiary information we're giving a person about a spirit, and then the description usually fits. So, and I see it just like if you would imagine seeing somebody that in front of you. It's sort of like that. Or imagine your kitchen in your mind, seeing your kitchen. It's like that.
Okay, so
I'll have, but it's in my head.
yeah,
I have heard some things on the outside, like marbles dropping when there was no explanation of why that would have happened, and some other voices, through a haunted location. But mostly it's within my head, within my inner space.
Yeah, I think that's the way it comes to me if I'm talking to somebody and I see somebody standing beside them, which is usually a relative. I don't see them like I see a person. I see them in my head like a memory.
Yes,
and
makes sense.
I can see them as a person wearing such and such clothes, but I actually don't hear them. I just get either information really quickly, or I see hand gestures, and I'm starting to learn what the hand gestures are. So it's making it a little bit easier. I had a family of 5 come down at the Oregon Ghost Conference, and while they were standing there, I looked at the dad of the family, and this fellow came through behind him, and then came through with the mom and the 13-year-old kid and the 10-year-old boy and the grandmother, and it was an hour and a half of I had a hangover when they left. Boy, it was just intense. But everybody came through with something to talk about, right down to the 13-year-old relative saying that, hang in there with your math issues, and your tutor's doing a good job. And everyone looked at me, and it's like, I'm just passing it on. And they're almost in tears because she had a math challenge and she's with a tutor. So, at 13, that's her biggest hurdle. She just got an affirmation that, yeah, that's really good. Stick to it.
There's something about those conferences too, when there's so much concentrated energy like that. Like I noticed too, my readings were like spot on, very fast. Not that they're not, other times, but this is just like heightened even more.
Now, when you do readings, if somebody wants to call you up and say, hey, I wouldn't mind getting a reading, now, and you can go to your website, and it's SethMichaeladvisor.com.
Yes.
You do the readings through there. Do you do them like over Skype, over the phone?
I do them over the phone. I have done Skype, but I like the phone better so that I can pace if I want to. Yeah, I'm not looking at anybody because that'll throw me off a little bit if I see his facial expressions. I usually close my eyes so that I'm not, on the outside of myself.
I see.
Wondering, oh no, that they're looking a certain way, so maybe I got that off, or that would confuse me too much.
Yeah, so. I see what you mean. I did a reading over the phone for Marianne Morgan, who was Nancy Reagan's psychic and Frank Sinatra and all. She was one of the psychic detectives on the old TV show, hired by Natalie Holloway and John Benet Ramsey's family and things like that. And she said, "Could you give me a reading?" I was like, a little bit imitated. I shut my eyes and I gave her a reading, and there was one of the things that she wasn't really sure of. She called me back the next day and said, "Oh my God, you're right on, because of this car accident that happened back in the day. It was my sister." And I said, "Oh, okay," but she didn't remember at the time, and I thought that was really cool, having this world famous psychic going, "Oh yeah, that really worked. Thank you very much." But
yeah, what an honor.
It scared the heck out of me. With you, this is a full-time job for you now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I schedule classes, too, to give myself a break. So I do online classes, and we work with a Vision Collective, it's called, where there's different instructors almost ending the studio, and then we're going to take it on the road and go to different places, do retreats, things like Tokeland maybe, some other locations. I'm not, a lighthouse is one that they're thinking about.
Lighthouse. Now, obviously you're in Oregon.
I'm in Washington.
Oh, you're in Washington. Oh, you're.
I'm in southern Washington.
What? How do we pronounce it? Camas.
Camas, yeah, you said it right.
Camas,
I'm right on the border of Oregon, real close.
Oh, down by like Vancouver or Washington.
Yes.
That area. I know one of the classes you were teaching at the Ghost Conference was how to connect with loved ones in spirit.
Yes.
Yeah. How do we do that?
Well, we just go into how you go beyond your physical senses. The spirit most likely communicates. So it's kind of a learning curve that way, learning how they do it. And what most people do is they doubt what they get. If they don't do this all the time, or they haven't had a lot of confirmations, they're like, oh, how do I know that's not my own thoughts? So if it's random, if it's out of the blue kind of thing, go over that. If it's you might hear their voice, it's some synchronicities, somebody might come through, say something that your dad used to say. Or like the other day, a song came on by Ray Charles, my dad used to sing, and I looked up, and his name is Charlie, and there was a sign right in front of me on a car, a bumper sticker with Charlie on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, that was really good.
That's a clue.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of training us not to doubt and to allow these things to come through. And no, we don't have undeniable proof, for another person, but we know in our heart.
Yeah.
Like I knew that was my dad in my heart, but somebody else might go, oh, well, that's a coincidence. To them, it could be, but to me, it was a sign.
It's all in the eyes of the beholder or the seer, and you will know it inside when it is.
Yeah.
Right. If it's a coincidence, it'll just bounce off you. But when it's like that, it's just, I feel that right inside me.
Recently, I had a reading at the Oregon Ghost Conference from McKenna Long, and she was spot on with my mom and my dad, and I got to feel that. Every once in a while, I'll be able to feel what a client would feel when you get the evidence right on, where you're like, oh, that definitely is them. Like their messages and everything. And it was such a lighter feeling. It was so awesome to be able to connect, even though I can connect on my own.
The different perspective coming out from someone else. In your class, you're saying it's basically getting around the doubt that it's not coming from somebody. It's imaginary. How do we get around that?
There's no answer. It's just about self-talk and just say, well, yes, that could have been mine. I can choose to believe that it might be more.
Yeah.
So it's more about just talking to ourselves, talking through that, other than blocking. If we're blocking, and most likely we won't have a clear connection.
Does it come clearer with practice?
Yes, but allowing and trust it's you. Then the more we trust our intuition and things like this, the larger it becomes and the more clear it becomes.
Yeah, I was taught in Reiki that it was the intent, and it sounds like if I have an intent to actually believe, my intention is to believe, my intention is good, and I open myself, I shouldn't be bothered by anything negative, and I'll get a lot more information coming through.
Correct. And sometimes things could seem negative too, but they're not. Like, let's say a spirit comes through in a death state where they're imaging, like let's say they have a head injury and their head might be blown up, or something like that. Can be very, very unnerving at times, but a lot of times they don't mean any harm. They're just saying, hey, this is just the way I'm projecting right now because it's the last state I've been in.
I've had women come through. My mom is great for this. She'll come through, or she'll show somebody. Actually, the first time she appeared to a psychic, the first time I had gone to a psychic and described her, but she described her in her late 20s and early 30s, when she passed in her 70s. And I will get people who will stand up beside, the granddaughter, and I'll look at her and I'll say, okay, this lady looks like she's in her 80s. Her clothing looks like she may have passed in the late 70s, early 80s, the polyester kind of suit thing. And then after the person agrees, okay, that's my grandmother, and the grandmother gets happy and pats her on the shoulder, the grandmother shows up in her 30s. Like, she changes into her 30s because that's when she had fun. And that's what she wants to remember herself as. So
that's common.
Yeah, it kind of freaked me out because I thought it was a new person stepping in, but no, it's the exact same person. And I was getting a lot of them where they would say, you didn't know me in or at your age, like 25. We would have got along really, really well. You knew me when I was like the matriarch of the family, and I was pretty strict and all this, but we would have had a lot of fun if we were both 25 or 21. And that they're showing me that energy and that cheekiness almost, that they really would have loved to hang out with their granddaughter at about the same age, because they were that connected and that they would got along that well. And it's kind of an interesting message to pass on. About how many times would you read a week?
It depends too, because I also have depression that comes on and off, so sometimes I need to schedule around that, because I want to be in a really clear space when I'm doing that. So it averages around 4 to 5 a week sometimes, but sometimes it'll be like 3 maybe.
Is your depression psychic related at all, or energy related, intuitive related?
It could be at times, so then I just need to meditate and to clear that energy. Okay. And I do that by using salt and meditation and just resting my mind from not doing readings for whenever, how long I need or whatever.
How do you ground yourself?
Well, I have black tourmaline kind of helps to have that around. I mean, it's not an end all be all, but it helps. And obsidian is really good to just something to hold on to for grounding. But salt actually, after I do a huge gallery reading for like 60, 100 people, my energy is depleted. And so if I rub salt and take a shower with that, I feel a little bit more energized. I don't know what it is, but it's got amazing properties. And then if I smudge, that's like an all over body massage. And then the rest, I think, is just my brain chemistry. So I just kind of deal with that and get a radical acceptance around it. Like, I don't agree with that I have this, but sometimes it just happens where I'm feeling very, very sad. And I just got to let that take its time, take its course, and then I'm better for a while.
Do you you accept that is you feeling sad and not an influence by an outside spirit?
Well, I do the meditation, the clearing meditation too, so that I make sure that there's nothing there. And then all these practices are to clear my energy. And I'll also imagine huge waves coming through my chakras and clearing that out. So then whatever I'm left with, I pretty much believe it's my head.
One of the other courses you were teaching at the Ghost Conference is an empath's guide to ghosts and spirit counseling. What the heck is spirit counseling?
I know that's something we made up as a team. So not everybody knows what that means. It's spiritual religion. It's rescue mediumship. So it's the same kind of process where we connect with the spirit that has been hanging on to something that is prohibiting them from changing their energy to a higher vibration. So let's say that somebody themselves had depression, and let's say they committed suicide, which is a very, very sad topic. I hope it's okay to go there, because
it's real.
It's real too. We get a lot, and they're just still in the state. They think that do this, everything's going to be fine, and because they haven't changed or resolved anything, it's most likely that fracture of their consciousness would stay that way until they released it. And they can do that on their own, and they can do that if they see loved ones, which from my experience, we have loved around us the whole time. It's just a matter if we're in a different, and our loved ones had what they call cross and let go of that, all the lower vibrations, and they're nothing but love. They can see us, but we can't see them because we're in a box, in a cloud. Okay. So what it is sometimes it just takes a live human to reach out, and so that they can hear that, yes, you have passed on. This is real. That's not a dream state. And you can let go of this and just know that this life, all these trials that you went through, you deserve this love now that's available to you. Wow. And then they do the rest themselves. Then usually a grandma or a mom come through, or pets, and then they start to see them, and then they do the rest on their own. And it's all choice and free will. You can't really body slam them to the light or anything like that. And we don't create the light. And I asked my guides, what the heck is a light? And they said there really isn't one. It's a vibration. It's a sound, and it creates that illusion of one.
Okay, because we crossed over, Skeeter and I crossed over a bunch of people, and the light shows up behind Skeeter, and they walk into her. But we crossed over a lady, a Chinese lady from the 1800s a couple of years ago. As she walked towards Skeeter, first of all, she said, I'm going to take my tea set with me. And she folded silk over a little tea set. She walked towards Skeeter. and Skeeter was doing this remotely, and Skeeter said, there's something really weird. My legs are wobbly. I don't know what this is. It's never happened before. And then she realized she was standing on a boat in the river, and it was rocking. And this lady didn't go to a light. She crossed the river. And on the other side was a bunch of friends and relatives cheering and been waiting for obviously a long time. So
wow, that's really cool.
We think from that is that you present what your belief system is.
Yes, because I've seen, like if it's a Hindu client, I'll see different gods. If it's a Christian, I'll usually see Jesus or the Mother Mary, or whoever that belief system is, which is really interesting. Yeah,
you're all going to the same place. You just have different transportation.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's a really cool cool example.
That was cool. We're not expecting that at all. And we've also had,
and that's how you know you're connecting. That's exactly, if you're not expecting something, it just happens. You're like, wow, I couldn't think of that.
It just came out of the blue. She was confused. Like Skeeter Wellhouse, the psychic who I used. She and I clear spirits out of people's houses. Actually do that on our show. We did one the other day. We did one the other day, a week or so, or it's episode 7 or 8. My God, we got EVPs during the episode.
Wow.
And we were basically pushing, when you say they have to go voluntarily, we had this guy hauled off non-voluntarily. And he wouldn't cross over, but we asked him what his name is, and you could hear him say, Marcus. I was like, whoa. And then we got, she asked one of her spirit guides, is that really his name? We got another name eventually. And she says, is that really his name? And there's a pause and you hear, yes. And we went, okay, that's kind of creepy. So, wow. So we got a spirit guide's voice and we got the dead guy we were moving out. So it was kind of cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, Skeeter's just crazy, which is like you. I'm not saying you're crazy, but you're that connected. You're that much of an open line to the other side. And can you kind of go through a little bit of an explanation for my listener on what a spirit guide is?
Sure. It's in my experience and in my beliefs, it's a spirit buddy. So it could be somebody that had lived before, that maybe we were friends with. It could be in a different life or a different existence timeline, or it could be somebody who has not been in flesh and maybe is celestial or different. Some have ETs as guides and feel that they have been ETs, and that they're having this human experience. So it could be a case of that. It could be anything, but it's somebody who is a being that is helping guide us to remember what we forgot when we became, I think it's called incarnate.
Yeah, that's what I think they are too, because my primary guide has explained to me that it was, he looks like he was from the Egyptian time and he's never been from Earth, and it went right over both the psychic and mine's head until I had a shaman said, oh, your spirit guide, he's alien. He's ET. Okay, that makes sense, when they said he was never from Earth. I asked him what his name was, and he laughed and said, humans are always wanting to put labels on things. So it didn't have a name. So I call him Matthew, just to put a label on him. Do you see?
I have a guy like that too.
Yeah,
I do. Cool. We have a picture in the movie too with Andrew, who I believe I was a monk with from a long time ago in Ireland, and we came back together, but this time he's in the spirit form. And I do see, I have 4 or 5 others that some come and go somewhere there. Like I have a name, one has a really long name I don't know how to pronounce, so I call him Craig, so it's funny you say that.
Yeah, I had, all my spirit guides took a step back about a year ago because I was told that, I wasn't being confident enough with my readings, and they were helping me with that. I would do a reading and then I'd phone a psychic and say, okay, this is what I said, was I right? And eventually my guides threw up their hands and said, fine, we're leaving. And they were replaced by a gohart, which is an elemental being, basically Pan, the god Pan of the hillsides in Greece, which is an elemental. He came in and basically hung out in that space until I got my poop together, and they all came back in again. So that was, I was basically in a psychic timeout, and while I was in the timeout, the elemental came in, which was really cool.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah, and a number of the psychics said, "Yeah, this guy's really cool. He's got a wicked sense of humor." But that is kind of neat. But you really have to screw up before they come in. The other thing I wanted to ask you about the guides, but you're when you see somebody, you're doing a reading. My feeling is the guides are on that very, very high level of energy. The family member shows up, and that family member is basically volunteered to be with their grandkid or their brother, whoever it is, as an in-between between the guides. So they're the ones. If you're basic humans walking down the street with a normal vibration, it's hard for the guides to get their attention because there's such a high vibration. They have to reach down so low, and the person has to reach up really high. So the family member volunteers to be the in-between. So they're the gut feeling and the goosebumps and the hairs in the back of the neck standing up is passed on immediately by the family member via the guides. Is that kind of what you think too? Or,
actually, I haven't heard it that way, but yeah, that does make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
have that go-between.
Yeah, and I notice because I get goosebumps. I have my mother with me, which is a little different, but I have a lot of times a male will have the male spirit with them, females have this female spirit, but I have my mother because she was the sensitive one in the family. So I get goosebumps on my left arm first, and that's the female side of her body. The male side of her body is our right side. So if you've got an adult, your grandfather with you, you'll get your goosebumps on the right side first. So that's kind of this odd conundrum that I've kind of figured out too, that you can tell the sex of the volunteer with you by which side you get your goosebumps on, which is cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true for everybody because I get all right side for everything, if it's a male or female. So I think that's...
No, I mean your volunteer family member.
Oh, your volunteer family member. So okay, sorry about that.
If you have a male with you, then it's your right side.
I see. I'll have to pay attention to that then.
Yeah. Do you know who's with you, whether it's a male or a female?
Usually, yeah. I just know. I just usually get the empath feeling of the energy.
But you don't know if it's your grandfather standing beside you or great-grandfather or an uncle or...
I do just by knowing for the claircognizance, just the intuition, but I don't get tingles usually from that. I'll get an emotional feeling or a higher vibration or a lower vibration feeling, and then it'll equate with whoever I'm seeing usually.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of cool. Now, you also give, you're involved in ghost tours, aren't you?
Yeah, we do. We help out with the Kenton Station tour here. It's actually in Portland, and which isn't too far from us. And it's old restaurant, and it was an old speakeasy back in the day. And it's got a lot of interesting history with boxing, bare knuckle boxing, and they believe there were a lot of deaths back then.
Yeah, is that the one that's in a basement?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's in a basement. If you're ever in the area, it would be really cool for you to see that tour. It's really interesting. No. A lot of people get activity. They get somebody had their hair just rise up. It was a ponytail and it rose up above their head. We've got a lot of interesting photographs that nobody's been able to debunk. One was a face of somebody. They always expect the spirits to be from that location. Well, this guy was somebody different. He was modern, and I kept picking up on him. His name was Jason. There was something about pills, committed suicide. Here was either he lived there in an apartment building or he was here with somebody. Well, nobody said anything, so we went on with the tour. Afterward, somebody came up to the tour guide and said, Yeah, I think that's my friend Jason who committed suicide, but I don't understand the pills. And she said, well, what was the problem? She said, well, they screwed up the medication of his girlfriend when she was in the hospital, and he got very depressed and then took his own life. So she goes, well, there's the pill connection.
The pills, yeah.
So, and then they took a picture at the same time, and it turned out it looks very similar to his face when we saw a picture of it. So he actually materialized a little bit.
So he was coming through. I wonder if it's to do with energy or something that's at the location where he could manifest himself a little bit easier there with them.
Yeah, because there's so much, that might be why.
Yeah.
Too. It's just so much energy. It's like crazy down there. I even have a hard time down there because it's so much. But we do it. We do it every third Thursday. It's free if anybody ever wanted to do it.
And that's at the Kenton Station basement tour. That's if you're in Portland, it's 8303 North Denver Avenue, 8303 North Denver. And you can get that information off Seth's website at SethMichaelAdvisor.com. Again, that's SethMichaelAdvisor.com. And while I have you scrambling for a pen and paper, listener, to write down some stuff, you can go look, just search Seth Michael on Facebook, and you'll get that link. He's got a page there, and he's got a page there, and you'll also be able to go link from there to his podcast, his website. Now, you also have the film allaroundusfilm.com, which is another website, allaroundusfilm.com. Let's talk a little bit about that. That was an amazing film. You only made me cry once. Near the end, you crazy man. But it was really, really interesting. What gave you the idea? This is almost like a biography film. It was really well made. Like you promote, it's not Hollywood. It's not scary music. It's basically kind of a life in the life of a psychic, and growing up as a psychic. It was wonderful. When did you guys start doing that?
That was about 3 years ago. It happened. It was talk about this one piece of evidence that there's more to it, but it was about a zebra, and it was a grandpa that came through, and the description was right on, and a whole bunch of other things made sense. And then the zebra came through, and of course he used to try to train a neighbor's zebra, and that's the first time I've ever had that come through, and to come through with it making sense. I mean, that was no question in our eyes that was him. And he had said, you're working on something in the library and you don't want to be in there, so this person, not to that person. I think it was like, talk to the female, not the male. And so they knew what he was talking about, and they did, and they ended up they were doing a theater, community theater, and they wanted an actual theater. They were doing it in the library, and then because they talked to who Grandpa Willie suggested, they got an actual theater. So then with about 100 seats in there. So they asked me to come and do a gallery reading. And then when I went in there, there are a lot of spirits in there, so I asked them if I can do kind of a cleansing at first, and resolve, we call it, like we just connect with the spirits and make sure they know what's going on. And I just wanted to make sure that when I did the huge reading, that it wasn't going to be a lot of theater spirits coming through. I wanted to give them a chance to talk and to connect. And so we did that, and then I met Tristan. And he went to the reading, and his grandfather came through. He said he knew for sure that was his grandpa, and he loved the message that came through. And he was taught that this was wrong. And that's what his family believes, is that it's not of a good intent. It's kind of evil. So, but he never felt that way. He always felt that this was just natural, and that he was always very interested. And so he thought, well, why don't I make a movie about you and show them a different side of things? And well, I said, well, how about my friends too? Because I have a lot of friends that do this. And then so we were able to ask, not all of my friends were in it, but we were able to ask some to be a part of it. And that's why it turned out to be a full length. Otherwise, it was just going to be a short one.
Wow. Yeah, it was a good movie. So I really want my listener to pay attention, and we'll definitely get a link for that when it comes out. And this zebra story is in the movie, and it's quite fascinating. Though the grandpa was teaching the zebra to eat sugar out of his hand or something, and the owner said, "No, that thing's not gonna eat out of your hand, but just I'll give it a try." But had been training it for quite a while to do that. It sounds like a good character.
And he saved him. Yeah, he saved him from being meat. So,
oh my lord!
I know that's terrible.
Yeah, but it happens. Like, but a zebra. It's hilarious because we used to have a little corner market not too far from where I lived growing up, and the neighbors had maybe a half acre, and they had 2 zebra on it.
Wow, cool.
We didn't even have those in the zoo in town here, but they were all just sitting there hanging out with the horses. And
cool.
It was very cool. Very, very
What a
cool.
great experience, yeah.
We're talking to Seth Michael. He's a psychic and a spiritual advisor, and puts on tours. He's in southern Washington State. And if you want to go check him out, go to SethMichaelAdvisor.com. Also, his movie, keep an eye on that. Its movie website is allaroundusfilm.com, allaroundusfilm.com. And check out Seth Michael on Facebook and follow him there. He's
we have a paranormal team too.
Oh yeah, well, White. Oh, what was it? You tell me.
Yeah, White Light. You're close. White Light Paranormal Insight.
Okay, and what do you guys do?
We do pretty much what I do on my own, but we'll go into haunted locations, and it's community service. We never charge for that.
Good.
And we go, that's important. It's just not ethical to do that. And so we go and we connect with the spirits, and we let them know, basically we do our paranormal counseling. We connect with the spirits, and if human, we do what I was talking about, paranormal counseling, and help them move on if they're ready. We have a rule. If the people are okay with them staying, then there's got to be some boundaries. Like, don't come up to me, behind me after dark, or whatever the homeowner wants.
Yeah. And
then they just coexist. But if it's something harsher, then we do more of a cleansing, where we will smudge, and then we'll ask our guides to remove what's there, or do whatever we have to do to try to get that out.
what do you do, like you were saying with the human ghosts? What other things do you run into?
Just about, like, what kind of situations?
Or what other kind of energies do you run into?
Non-human, like elementals.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't even know what. There's so many different kinds that I've seen. I've seen little things and big things, and 7 feet, 9 feet tall things. Shadows, non-shadows.
When you say an elemental, to you, what is an elemental being?
More from the nature. So it would be more of a nature spirit that, like, I believe that there are little gnomes. They look different than what is portrayed in the garden gnomes. But I've seen them in kids' rooms running through 2 closets. Like, one ran behind a dresser and then ran to a closet.
Oh, that's kind of creepy. But
yeah, it was for the kids too.
Yeah, so these were kids that were sensitive enough to actually see them?
Yes, and they were just freaked out about them, but they were benign. They weren't hurting them or anything. I think they were just coexisting, but it was hard for the kids when they're sensitive.
Yes.
So we got those out. We did our best to get those out.
Well, good.
And there was no more activity after that.
Excellent. That's the important thing. If you can get them out,
Yeah.
I know a lot of them won't leave because they're either attracted, they're still protecting something in the land, they're land connected or creek connected. I had a bunch of them under my house, and I had to move because they were really pissed off that the creeks, because of construction, had changed direction, and I got told, well, all my guides shut me down and backed off, and they put an elemental in charge, and they said that I was told, you can't do anything until you move. And I moved about a month later. We were moving out of that house, but it was my oldest daughter, who's very, very high empath. She had already moved to the new place, so she was good. And my youngest daughter I was told, is fairy realm, and I guess fairies are quite nasty, so nothing was going to bug her. So she was safe.
I did a reading not long ago, and I actually saw a guide as a mermaid, and that was new for me.
That is cool.
But I think it's important to have an open mind to let this stuff come in, because if we have limitations on it, like, oh yeah, I'll read spirits, but when it comes to fairies, I'm not open to that. You know, some people are not open to that, but I am. I leave it open for anything that wants to come through.
Yeah, if your guide's elemental and you want to get the information, that's who happens to be in charge of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is cool.
I'm glad that you have an open mind about that.
Oh yeah, it's
important.
Well, one of the things when I was first told all this information, the psychic was so accurate on things that no one in the world would know about me and my history and my family. I was just staring at her like, okay, now that's came out of your mouth. Everything else you say has to be true. It has to be. And then she went off onto elementals and into spirit guides and things that I was totally unaware of.
Wow.
And then eventually got into that radio show I did for a few years. And all it did is every time I asked somebody a question, I got an answer, it raised 10 more questions. And that's what I'm doing with you right now, going, answer all this stuff, Seth, darn it. I need to find out. Hey, I got to run something by you. This is what I'm doing to try to help the people who listen to podcasts. I have this Patreon thing where you can donate $3 if a month if you like the show. If you don't like the show, donate 10. No, I'm kidding. If you want to donate money, it's just $3. And what that does, because I really don't need the money, but I would like to have a group of us go do things. If you listen to the alien Liam at the front of my show, he talks about having a maximum of about 4,500 people, patrons. But I think I may drop it down to 3,000 people. But when I get over 20 people, and we just started it up, you start drawing every month for a psychic reading or past life regression and a numerology reading. So 3 names get drawn for those readings. And at 2,222 people, I'll draw names for trips. So if you're in the UK and you're in London, I'll send you up to Scotland and hook you up with a couple of ghost hunting teams and ghost tours up there, vice versa, top of the UK, down at the bottom of the UK. If you like UFOs, I'll bounce you over to Portugal for the UFO conference in Portugal. You're in Australia, I'll bounce you to the UFO conference in Sydney, depending where you live, or over to New Zealand for a couple of really cool ghost tours there. And if you're in North America, I'll bounce you around the US to UFO conferences, Bigfoot conferences, and very, very haunted places, and then pay for your airfare, accommodation, car rental, and hook you up with the teams. I also, if I'm at 3,000 people, which is my new number instead of 4,500, I think I'm going to be sending a couple of people, not just maybe pull 2 names, and I'll send you to Europe from North America, or from Europe to North America, or Sydney, Australia to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, whatever. But we'll talk about it. We'll see exactly what ghosty kind of things you like, whether it's, like I say, Bigfoot, UFOs, and we'll set that up for you. And plus leave you an open-ended ticket, because who wants to travel that far and not hang out a little bit longer? What do you think about stuff like that?
What a great way to connect people.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I hopefully you can get enough people by the end of the year to bounce around a bit. And people say, well, what's in it for you? That's $9,000 a month. That's a lot of money. Well, yeah, it is. So I want to go too. So if I'm going to draw 2 names, which is 4 people, and send them from Sydney, Australia, or a couple from the UK and a couple from Australia, and send them to a UFO conference in Pasadena, California, heck, I want to go too. So,
well, yeah,
that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
But it's a little pricey if you looked at airfare between here and Australia, or the UK to Gettysburg, or LA to hang out with David Oman in the Oman House and eat all the barbecue that he cooks. It's a bit of a trek. And we're down at Tombstone, Arizona, and do the tours down there, and in Bisbee, up to Sedona to watch UFOs with Melinda Leslie, the Isetti Ranch with James Gillen. It's like there's places all over the world like this. Let's go see them, and why not? And if you're in a wheelchair, I will design it around you. Get you out and doing stuff. So I really hope that we can get the numbers up so we can start going on these trips, because honestly, I want to go too. So let's get them done. So in your
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You'll get somebody that has that on their bucket list, and then there's that feel-good factor that you're doing this for somebody, and they'll pass it on to somebody else, hopefully. You know, what they've learned and everything. Yeah. So I think it's great.
I think it's fun. I've been to Gettysburg. It's crazy. And if you've never been there and you want to stick around for another two weeks and go down and see the Smithsonian museums, heck, it's up to you. You can extend the trip all you want. I'll just pay for the first week. Thank you. And I'm not paying for a car rental in the UK and Australia, because you drive on the wrong side of the road. I'll throw some money at you for it, but I won't pay for it. I blew up the car again. So you're in your psychic mind. You think that's a pretty good thing?
Oh, very much so.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Ask a psychic, and that's how it works. We're talking to Seth Michael. He is out of Camas, Washington, a little bit south of here, but... a little bit south. Holy cow, you're like 9 hours south. In fact, my trip down to Seaside, Oregon, which takes about 10 hours, took about 13 because of traffic and car accidents. But it was fun.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. But it was fun. Oh, I was going to ask you about the Shanghai Tunnels. Have you ever gone through those in Portland?
Yeah, I have a couple of times. I don't like to go down there, though.
No?
Much energy. No, it's not my favorite thing to do. I mean, the history is very interesting, and it's kind of sad energy, and there's a lot.
Okay.
A lot down there.
And that's why you don't like going down there.
Yeah. June's gone down there, and she's cleared a little bit, she said, and it did feel a little bit different.
June Lundgren?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good. I'm going to send you a photograph of... I was down there with psychic... Skeeter Wellhouse, a very very sensitive lady named Seth and Brian, and sensitive and an expert in occultism, Montana Jordan, and we went down there, and I took a random. I had a little full spectrum camera, and I'm clicking away and not getting anything. Took a picture with my iPhone of just some dust. Got it home, looked at it on the computer, and there's a Native American woman. Sitting down and kind of leaning forward, and what she looks like she's sitting in front of almost like the Tin Man. And we thought, oh my gosh, he's a horrible, horrible thing. I wonder what he's doing. And I was told that he was most likely a protective being because she'd been killed down there. But I'll send you that photo after the interview, and I'll see what you say about it, because that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Out of all the pictures I took with the fancy ghosty camera, that's the only one I got was on my iPhone. And I did it right. I did like 3 pictures in a row. So it wasn't there, it was there, and it was gone. It was just, I caught it in between. So it was very, very cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. What is on your bucket list? What kind of stuff would you like to see, get out in the world and see?
I would like to organize a tour for All Around Us.
Yeah.
At some point, that seems like a pretty big thing to, because there's so much involved. But I think if I talk to the right people, I'll figure out how to do it. And then to have the mediums that are featured in the movie, we could do haunted tour, different places. We can show the movie, do readings, question and answers, whatever. I think that would really be good to reach out to people that way.
Well, I'll tell you, if you want to come up to Vancouver, British Columbia, I know somebody owns a wonderful haunted theater from the 1930s. I've actually cleared a ghost out of there already. I took a picture of her, again with my iPhone. While I was on the stage, her head went floating by. And wow. I didn't see it. I just happened to, for some reason, it's one of those things, for some unknown reason, you're taking a picture. And it's like, why would I even do that? Oh, with all our high-tech equipment there? Nope, just the iPhone got her. And we crossed her about a year later.
Wow.
But she has this wonderful theater, restored it, and it's really, really nice. It's a nice small venue. Well, not small, but it's a good venue. It's something like the theater in Seaside where we had I watched your movie. An old, wasn't fixed up as nice as that one, and didn't have giant vats of beer behind the curtains.
I know.
I got to tell you, that was the best microbrewery I've ever been in. That was actually a place to watch movies and have a cocktail. But the Rio Theatre in Vancouver, British Columbia is also that way inclined. You can have a cocktail, sit down, but it's an intimate setting, and they'll open it up for movies like this in a heartbeat. It's the owner, Corrine, she's really, really good. So if you think about it, come on up here. We will invite you up. Just don't tell the people at the border and possibly making money. But yeah. No. Just come up for a movie.
We're entering film festivals in Canada too. I'm not sure which one they are. I know the filmmaker's taking care of that.
Nice.
But he plans to do that there in London or England. So,
that is so cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So maybe I will make it there.
You know what? I will get if you tell me what film festival it is, I will fill it up with people who will vote for your film.
Awesome. That sounds great. Yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted.
Yeah, that is so good. And again, the film is All Around Us, and people can go online and look at allaroundusfilm.com. That's Seth's movie, allaroundusfilm.com. And it's a really good look at what a psychic is, being involved in paranormal investigations. It's not like television. There's no spooky music, and when you ask a spirit to touch you, and it does touch you, people don't scream and run down a hall in a puddle of their own urine. It's I don't know why that one guy with glasses does that. Yeah, it's a real. If anyone's done a paranormal investigation, it's really what it is, but with a psychic, which is a lot more fun than going out there trying to guess where the ghost is in the house. When the guy can say, "No, there's no ghosts here. They're all in the kitchen playing cards." Okay, we'll go in the kitchen. And we'll deal with that way. Seth, you do this for free, and I appreciate that your white light paranormal goes out and helps people clear for free. I always say, if you wouldn't mind helping them out with some battery money, because we seem to go through batteries really fast.
Do we ever?
Yeah.
Yes.
Batteries are even right before gasoline. Yeah, we'll give them gas money. No, how about just $20 for batteries?
Batteries, yeah.
Because if we have to load up at Costco, get
that happened a lot during the shooting of the movie. Holy cow, he went through a lot of batteries.
And that's for the movie camera, right? It would just
it did.
Yeah, you're in a haunted location when.
It filled up his memory card a few times too. It just all of a sudden it was there. It shouldn't have done that, but it kept saying full until we went to a different location and everything was fine again. But we were in kind of a busy location.
When it said full and you looked at you played the card, was there anything on it?
He said no. He said there wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So
he was just indicating full. So they're monkeying with the equipment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what was going on.
Little teasers. When you are kind of coming down down the stairs into a building and kind of catch up to your team, and they've got their digital recorders out and they're trying to communicate with something, can you hear? When I say hear, do you get information in your head as they answer, or do you have to kind of play the recordings back later to pick up things?
No, I get what they're saying. It's not always imprinted. Sometimes it has been where I'll react, I'll laugh or say, "Oh, that's funny," and then it was something that was funny, or I'll repeat it and it is exactly what it said. But sometimes there'll be things that I'm hearing that they're answering, but that's not imprinted on the recorder. That's why I think having a medium is advantageous, so you can get more of a picture of things.
Well, you and I have both been in paranormal investigations where we hear it with our own ears, very, very clear, and there's nothing on the recorders.
Right. I was confused about the K2 meter too, because it doesn't always register stuff either. I was like pointing at it when I first was doing this, and they introduced me to the K2 meters, EMF detector. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. What does it stand for? Electromagnetic field detector. Yes, yeah. Thank you. And the guy was standing right in front of me, and I'm like, "Kristen, what the heck is going on? Nothing's registering." She said, "It doesn't always pick up."
I had a ghost walk through me. She was upset with me. She walked through my back, out through my front, and I felt her, like just goosebumps going through, and I held the EMF detector up to me, and I actually watched it light up as it went through me and out my left arm. And it was years later I found out that she was just doing that because she was pissed with me.
that when they have the energy, when they have that emotional energy, I think a little bit more. It happened at Kenton Station. We helped a spirit cross. She was very emaciated. We think she was a lady of the night, but not by choice. And so she crossed, and then 5 mob guys surrounded us. It was me, an investigator, and another medium, and one jumped in me. And I'm like not moving. I'm not saying anything, but in my head, I'm like, you will not move for me. You will not talk for me. You've got to get out of my head. You have to get out of me. And then the detector went all the way up on my belly, and heat was rippling out. And then my back, cold was coming out. And so my medium friend, she put her back to mine. She goes, emit love. So I thought of my mom, and he thought of his, and he fell out, and everything went back to normal.
Wow.
And it should not go off, and just so listeners know, that should not go off on people.
No,
like what that happened to you and me, that should not happen.
EMF detectors, the ones we use are the cheap made in China gray plastic ones. If you get a real EMF detector, like if you work in the electrical field and spend a couple of $100 or more on a Skookum one, you can get a reading from a human body. But do not use those. Use the cheap ones where it's almost impossible to get EMF through a wall. That's why we use the real cheap ones, because you really have to get an electromagnetic field to set those things off.
Yes.
So don't. And they used to be, $35 before all the paranormal shows showed up. They knocked them up to $150 for the crappy one. So get a used one on eBay, for gosh sakes. Yeah, but definitely get the cheap ones. Do not get don't think better is best, because they're not when it comes to trying to detect a spirit.
Some recorders too. Some recorders are like that too. I mean, some high-tech ones are really good, but some are just the little cheapy ones work great.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Experience anyway.
I did a paranormal investigator at a bar, and they said, "What kind of equipment did you bring?" And I said, "Well, I've got a recorder and a piece of string." And I would hang the piece of string up and say, if there's anybody around, can you move the string? Easy to move. And, you almost have to, when it does move, you got to check for air conditioning kicking in and things. And I hung it over the bar, and I asked the guy to move it. Nothing happened. When I played the tape back, very clear voice saying, "Don't touch the string."
What?
So he was telling all the other spirits, no, screw it. Don't touch the string. Swine. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be high-tech stuff. It could just be anything. Because face it, people see spirits just, when they show up. They don't have to bring anything. And the other thing, too, is what do you feel about this? You and I know that ghosts exist, right? So why there are a lot of people out there who are still wanting to capture EVPs and information and then not doing anything with them. To me, it's like going to an old asylum somewhere and paying $300 for the night to get a couple of beer and go tease the ghosts. What do you think about stuff like that?
Well, I have a greater, like you, we have greater purpose with it. So I don't think I can't relate to that, what they do just for a thrill, or I'm not exactly sure what they're wanting, because some people are very adamant against that there are none, even though they do have EVPs, and they're still, that's not proof for them. It's some other imprint from our minds or thoughts or just gobbledygook that our minds are making up. So I'm not sure why they're doing that.
Yeah, it's kind of painful. I start off any of my investigations. Okay, no, ghosts do exist. Now, what are we going to learn from the ghosts here? And the psychic Skeeter, she comes remotely from Maple Valley, Washington, anywhere in the world that I'm talking to.
Yeah, we do that with our team. We'll find out we have a case, and then we all do our remotes, and we'll write it down before we know anything. All we know is we have a case. We don't know any location, anything, and that's why I like working with other mediums, too, because then we can even a greater picture. Somebody might not get how it used to look. Somebody might get a child spirit that maybe no one else got, and then they can connect to that one. Or, there is just I really enjoy doing. I've worked with Skeeter before, too. I really enjoy that. When we just so in our case or in our team, we write it down, and then we compare later, and we let at the time of the interview, they tell the clients what we got so that they know we're connecting right. We've always got it on where the right activity is happening, the kind of spirits they experienced, or what kind of activity.
I'm going to ask you a question that I ask most psychics who do this kind of thing. Have you ever died?
Not in a clinical sense, but I have gone to that side while still alive, I believe.
Wow. And how did you do that?
Just as they would say, like meditation. I'm just there. Sometimes it's like stars in the sky. It's all dark, and then there's little lights, and then there's this light that you would think you would be blinded by. And then I can connect with, then I believe I connect with my people that passed on. I go see what they're up to. Sometimes they're having jobs to do and roles, in my experience anyway.
That is very cool. What is your opinion, or what is your belief system on what happens to us after our meat sack no longer functions when we die?
I believe that we have this opportunity to know that we were never alone to begin with. Like all of people and pets and anybody we've had a connection with that had passed before us is there. And if we're open to seeing that, then it goes on where there's a threshold that we're taken to where there's a life review. And then we can see our life, and not to punish us or not to go, shame on you, anything like that. It's more like, here's what you helped other people feel. This particular thing really elated a person, or this particular thing really hurt them, and you didn't mean to, but what do you want to do with this now? How do you want to resolve it? Do you want to go back and help them? Do you want to go live again? What are your choices then? It's kind of like checking in. And then after that, I feel like there's different experiences that people have. People say that they have roles and jobs, like helping escort children through or anything, just so many different world, understand spirits better. Some of them do that, and some of them just look after their loved ones. But I feel that their spirit can fracture, so they can do so many different things at once. It's not even just one thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a name I've been told for that area that we go to do our life review. It's called the Blue Room. And that information came from dead people, actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Next time you talk to Skeeter about it, because she's actually seen it. The first part of the Blue Room is all your negative interactions, and then you download all your threads, and you feel how you made other people feel.
Yeah.
And then once you've got through that, you go off to the positive ones.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then when you leave there, you're all, I feel a little bit better now.
Yeah. So
now
you're not left
with those negative ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Blue Room.
Sometimes they find out though the negative thing that you were felt really bad about actually helped somebody grow, so it turned into a positive.
Yeah, and that's, as a policeman, 28 years of dealing with people, a lot of those interactions, and I shouldn't say a lot because it's far from the majority, because you're usually dealing with a victim. But when you do interact with somebody in what they perceive at the time as negative, because you arrested them for robbing a bank or something, I'd like to say when I look back, when I do my threads, at the end of the day, it actually kind of helped them. Like it was almost hitting that, I kind of helped them like the bumper on a little kid's bowling lane helps the ball stay out of the gutter.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping at the end of the day, is that all those people that had or perceive a negative issue with me at the time actually come out of it okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So let's see, we covered death, we covered ghosts. Do you ever run into a ghost that just was being a real prick?
Oh yeah, several, and they're mostly men.
Yeah.
Mostly other men that have old-fashioned ideas, or one guy was really addicted to porn. He had a bunch of porn in his house and alcohol bottles. So it seemed like he also had an attachment. We feel that was an entity, and it could have been old thought forms, negative thought forms, like, but something was on his back while he was on that other side and earthbound. And so we tried to go back. I tried to go back in his life to find out love. When did he feel love last? And he didn't in his lifetime. And it was confirmed that his brother got most of the attention. Wow. And he was kind of just pushed out, aside. And that created a hole in his heart. And so we went back to another lifetime where he felt love, so he can connect with that feeling and cross. And we had to have that other thing peeled off. And that looked like the creature of the Black Lagoon once it got off of him.
Okay, it didn't look like a monkey.
No, not like that. No.
Okay. Because
Some do.
some look like,
do kind
yeah, that monkey. When they say there's a monkey on your back, it's looks like a monkey, but has the face of a cat with red eyes, and they're real. They just kind of intercept that universal positive energy that Creator, the universe, God sends you, but it's absorbing it before it gets into you and keeps you sick.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing.
Yeah, good way to explain it.
Yeah, and that's to my belief system on that is that it's an elemental being, but others will call it a demon and things like that. But I won't know until I'm dead. So, so then I go, ha, okay, I was wrong. As I'm trying to scrape this monkey off my back, but it's people can see these things. There are people that actually can see them, and that would just creep the heck out of me. If I actually could see them, I'd rather just know that they exist and try to stay away.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I had this kind of awakening in 2012, but these paranormal TV shows have been on for a few years before that. Why do you think, and I'm going to talk to your gut feeling here, why do you think paranormal is the TV shows became so popular? Is it something that we were supposed to start accepting, and once we start accepting that, we are accepting more the spiritual path?
Yeah, I think that was pretty instrumental for a shift. And I think people were going that way anyway because people are having their own experiences, like tons, when their grandparents or something passed through and then they've had or things that they just cannot deny. So I think it's coming from own personal experiences and then watching this and like going, wow, I've had that experience. But the TV seemed to take it a step further, and they go into more sensationalism in a lot of shows. Not all, but some. Most, I would say.
Yeah, pretty much most.
Yeah. They depict more of a negative side, and they're not really... Nobody talks about earthbound spirits and crossing over or anything.
No. Well, actually...
Only when it's fictional.
Except
right?
for the Dead Files.
Except for right, and Paranormal State did go into that a little bit too. You're right.
Yeah, the Dead Files is the only one I really have time for with Steve and Amy. At least they come out, they do their thing independently, and then there is a given solution or a proposed solution for the client, and off they go. So it's not like they're coming into a place, stirring up a hornet's nest and then leaving, and the poor client like, what did you do? Right,
they try to resolve it. You're right. Yeah, that is. I did forget about that one. Yeah,
they're pretty good. But and honestly, that's the only one I watch if I was going to watch one. The other thing too is
I'd like to meet her. She'd be neat to meet.
Yeah, she'd be crazy like you.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever got a photograph of a ghost?
Just the one that I told you about. I haven't. But my friend is really good with that. She's kind of like an intuitive photographer. She'll just know where to take a picture and something will show up.
Okay, could you say that again? Because it broke up on friend. Can you say, I haven't done it myself, but my friend, and then go on again?
Okay, I haven't gotten a picture myself, but my girlfriend has gotten several pictures of mists or faces or things that clearly are not just regular or dust. There's much more. There's movement in it, and larger, and they move. If she'll get a video, they'll be getting like moving in a purpose kind of way. Yeah,
and paranormal team I was in, we've got full pictures of moving orbs, but I know the difference between dust and an orb. When the orbs are actually pushing out of sheets and having the sheet kind of go up like a little volcano, and it pops up, and then those kind of things. And the team I was on before had a picture of a lady standing at a door, had a picture of residual energy of a guy pushing a little hand truck out of what's now an office in a restaurant that used to be a sheet metal place, and he pushed it out of this office. It came right through the camera. And the guy was, and so it was, he was just like he was just clicking away on his camera, and this thing, he had it just like a little movie coming him out. And this guy just turned around, came out right through him. And it's kind of funny because one of the most well-known paranormal television shows has never showed a picture of a ghost that they've captured themselves. which
Wow.
is interesting. So I'm
That
wondering,
is.
I'm wondering, does the network say, okay, you got pictures of ghosts, we're just not going to show them? They'll show pictures of ghosts that other people have taken, but yeah, I've yet to see a ghost picture on one of the more popular shows that I'm thinking of here. It's, they'll get maybe a fuzzy little thing, but nothing as clear as the ones we get. And they go to the most haunted places in the world, so what are you doing?
Yeah.
But, maybe they're just not supposed to. And it's not that, it's like probably doing a UFO show, going out and there's UFOs here every day. Okay, get a picture. Well, today there wasn't. Really? We're not supposed to make it public yet. So I wonder when this is going to when this is really going to go mainstream, and not the paranormal television, the paranormal podcast, the underground, the paranormal on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, when the entire world is going to see a photo of something that no one can, thousands of people got a photo of it and nobody can, we'll use the word debunk, even though I don't think debunk is a word, but it's when is that going to happen?
I think it happens every day, but people are so leery about whether or not it was an app or if it was changed or altered in any way. I don't think we can't always trust who's doing the photographing.
That's true.
So I think that's kind of makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But as far as the shift and more people understanding what this is about, we were hoping with our movie that we would be some of the pioneers that are bringing out more about, say, the earthbound spirits and what happens when we pass away, and maybe taking more pictures and kind of seeing what people get and opening their minds a little bit more and steering away from the ghost hunter show or premise.
And that's what the premise is of your show. It comes out right off the bat saying, hey, this is Hollywood. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Hey, when you said the shift, what do you mean by that?
People understanding more that there is more to this than just physical. That people are understanding. They're getting like more questions and wanting to know more and having more experiences like that.
Why do you think more people are awakening to their metaphysical side, their spiritual side?
It could just be because there's been so many times of darkness, and now it's almost like the light is starting to come in, where more people are being more empathetic. They're understanding each other more. I mean, we still have crap, but I think that's the darker times are kind of getting on the way out. Mm-hmm. It's getting worse before it gets better, but I think that we are experiencing something that's going to be life-changing for a lot of people.
And that's coming.
Yeah. I don't know when exactly, but it's coming. Starting. Truths are coming out already.
The truths, did you say, are coming out?
Yeah, truths.
Okay.
Truths.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know that our feeling was if we don't start living with the earth again, we're getting hit by severe weather, and politicians around the planet are being put in positions of dividing their nations in half, kind of getting them. Everybody's going to get ready, kind of almost like for a civil war. And if anything happens, like the grid goes down or something happens, I think it'll be the more enlightened people against those who are less of a higher vibration trying to survive.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
yeah,
so
well put.
It's going to be interesting. And if that doesn't work, we don't start living together and back as a team, so to speak, knock some walls down and start living with each other and protecting the earth is just going to take care of herself and give us a big flush.
Yeah.
So, on a happy
kind of like
note,
Atlantis. Yeah.
On a happy note, I want to thank you, Seth. This is Seth Michael. He is a psychic medium. He's everything. Everything psychic. This is Seth. You can go to his website, and it is at SethMichaelAdvisor.com. Again, that's SethMichaelAdvisor.com. If you've got a ghost, you've got a question, you want a reading, give him a shout. It's SethMichaelAdvisor.com. He is on Facebook. Just search Seth Mike. Just search Seth Michael. Easy for you to say. Come on. And again, his film please watch for that. allaroundusfilm.com. Again, allaroundusfilm.com.
You can pre-order a copy.
I can?
Yeah, anybody can.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right on the website.
I was going to go, I was hoping you were selling them at the movie when we saw it, so...
Well, they're making a bonus CD to go with it, so that's why it's going to be shipping in July.
Shipping in July? And does it come with a T-shirt like my Call of Duty disc when I ordered it early? No.
That would be... I can definitely suggest that to him. That would be cool. I would love to have a Spirit Advocate T-shirt.
A Spirit Advocate T-shirt? That would be kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm advocating on behalf of the spirits. But not that one standing behind you because it's about to eat your head, but other than that. Seth Michael, I want to thank you. I love the movie. I'm going to order it and definitely going to put a link to my website when it comes out so people can watch it and or watch little snippets of it anyway so they can appreciate all the work you do and the experiences you've had in your life. And again, really, really happy with the movie. Only made me cry once, which is better than, The Exorcist made me cry a whole lot.
Oh,
frankly, because I was scared and I was lying on the chair. But turn it off, Mom, turn it off. But a lot of fun. Again, allaroundusfilm.com for his film All Around Us, a real look at paranormal investigators with psychic Seth Michael. Thanks for coming out, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much. It was such a pleasure to be on your show, James.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon. I hear horses coming in the background. It's the Mounties, so I got to get going.
Okay, thank you.
We're actually right before Alice Cooper.
Said, let's roll. And hey. Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing and they go. What are those voices? Like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget yourself. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now. Run through the hail like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after. No!
I see dead people.